want to welcome you to the School of Leadership Part 5. And today I'll be teaching on dealing with darkness. That's what I'll be teaching on today, dealing with darkness. And darkness can represent different things: failure, frustration, difficulties, disasters, disappointment. So there are different definitions of what darkness represents. And if you we started this program talking about the purpose of a school where people come to learn. We talked about leadership point number 1 on day 1. Day 2, we looked at how to maximize the year. You understand? When you look at how to maximize the year, you need to be clear about what the year represents. You need to do some new things. You need to maximize your day. In day 3, we now looked at creating the future that you want. And we said there are 3 C's: the C of clarity, the C of conviction, and the C of commitment. After that, those 3 C's, we got 7 principles. And in day 4, we now built on the 7 principles and added some more on clarity. So I'll creating the kind of future that you want. And so I will speak to everybody here that you should go back and listen to, at least for me, Message 2, Message 3, and Message 4 are important in terms of creating the kind of life that you want. Today, I want to talk about dealing with disappointment. Because you see, sometimes in the pursuit of success, we have expectations, we have dreams, we have goals, and we actually set out, we begin. But we get to that point where there are difficulties, there are disappointments, there are failures, there are disasters. And we can get that. Yesterday, my laptop charger caught fire, electric fire. And so today I'm doing this without the slides. Because the charger caught fire, my battery cannot last that long. So I had to just save the battery. So disappointments are things, sometimes they are planned, sometimes they are not planned. And we looked at Genesis 1:1, God creating the heavens and the earth. And in verse 2, we see darkness. Darkness was not planned. You understand? Darkness was not planned. And that darkness for somebody might be an economic darkness. That darkness might be a financial darkness. That darkness might be a physical darkness. So in the creation of the heavens and the earth, there was no plan for darkness. How do I know this? Because we know that God is light, and in him there is no darkness at all. So we will face disappointment, we will face difficulties. And so this morning, as I was looking at that concept of darkness, darkness was on the face of the deep. It occurred to me that basically you face 3 types of darkness, or there are 3 manifestations of darkness. Number 1 here is the darkness about God. You see, when darkness happens in your life, the first thing that happens sometimes is that we begin to wonder, where is God? Is God in all this? God, where are you? Does it happen to anybody? You understand? Where you wonder, some disappointment and the rest, but God, where are you in all this? In all my pains and my trials, God, where are you? That's the first thing. So the first thing darkness does is to try and blind us, close our eyes to God. And if we want to spiritualize this, now you can see why a lot of people say there is no God. Because darkness wants to close your eyes to the presence and the person of God in your life. But the second thing darkness does, you see, when you are in darkness, you cannot see the future. The second thing darkness does is to blind your eyes to your future. That's the second thing that darkness does. So people who are in darkness sometimes do not see the future. They can't see tomorrow, so they're in that particular spot. And the third thing darkness does is to blind yourself, blind your eyes to yourself, your potential, your capabilities. Now, if you add these 3 together, the blindness about God, the role of God in your life, the blindness about your future, and the blindness about yourself, the end result is hopelessness. And when people get to that point, suicide is the next thing. So when a man commits suicide, what is the man saying? The man is saying 3 things. One of those 3 things. Number 1, I can't see a way out of this situation. Number 2, I don't have the capability. Number 3, nobody, including God, can help me out of this situation. And that's the end result. And this is what the enemy's plans are for our life, to get us to that point where we write ourselves up, to get us to that point where we kill and strangulate our dreams, our goals, our visions. You understand? To get us to that point where we look at ourselves and we sell ourselves short, to get us to that point where we abandon the pursuit of greatness, the pursuit of the creation that you want. So you start a business and you have so much dreams, excitement about and darkness comes, you understand, maybe a fire incident, maybe the economic situation, and darkness comes. You get to that point and wonder, should I even continue with this again? This is, you understand, darkness manifests. 3 types: about God, about your future, and about yourself. You understand? So I can say that the biggest darkness or the greatest darkness is not external, it's the internal darkness. And that internal darkness is the internalization external challenges. So what do I mean? Internal darkness. So you face a challenge, you understand, and you begin to feel that as a result of this challenge, there's nothing I can do. It's a hopeless situation. Then you've gotten to that point of internal darkness, and you cannot help a man with that point of internal darkness. So there's like 7 or 8 things I want to share with you this morning in the time that I have. Now we know what darkness is: distortions, disappointment, difficulties, that darkness, disasters, failures. And at every point in your life, whether in your marriage, whether in your health, whether in your finances, you face disappointment. I wish I can tell you that in the pursuit of success, you would not face disappointment, but that would be telling you a lie. In the pursuit of success, there will be disappointment. So what do you do? Today, we are talking about the stamina to face your darkness, to face your difficulties, to face your challenges. So there are like 7 or 8 things I'd like to share with you this morning in dealing with darkness, whatever that darkness is. Point number 1 is to recognize that it is inevitable. You understand? Point number 1 is that darkness, challenges, difficulties are a fact of life. It's inevitable. As long as you want to pursue greatness, you would experience some speed bumps. You understand? You will experience some potholes on the way. You will experience some difficulties. It's inevitable. I was reading the book by Robert Schuller. It says success never ending, failure is never final. And it says that most of the challenges that we face are the challenges that we invited by the decisions we made. So for example, if you decide not to get married, you will not face marital challenges. But the day you decide to get married, you will face what? Marital challenges. If you decide not to start a business, you won't face the problems of cash flow and the rest. But the day you decide that I want to start my business, you have chosen the kind of challenges that you will face. So instead of crucifying yourself, just understand that I was also the person that invited these challenges into my life. I decided to start this business, and it's a part of the package. It's a part of the package. Whether that package is getting married, whether that package is starting your own business, whether that package is growing success, it's a part of the package. They are the visitors we entertain on the road to destiny. At different points in our journey to destiny, we'll have visitors. In the article I wrote, Embrace Challenges, that they will come unannounced and uninvited. And at critical junctures, challenges will rear their ugly head to try and test our faith in our dreams, and if you are not strong enough, to try and derail us from our dreams. So challenges are inevitable. If you are not having challenges, don't worry, just wait, you will have it. It's either you are not doing something great. If you are not having challenges, it's either you are not doing something great, or the challenges are waiting for you to rear up their head. So it's inevitable, and if it's inevitable, it means that you just need to face it. It's inevitable, it will happen. You are a branch manager, there will be challenges about growing the branch. It is inevitable, is point number 1. Point number 2, it talks about refusing to blame yourself and others for what has happened. So in point 2, when we get to that point where we face challenges, the business is not working, you're not seeing the result that you want, the natural human tendency is to find, who do I blame? Who do I blame? And I said in point number 2, in order to deal with darkness, you need to get to that point where you refuse to blame yourself. and others for what has happened. So sometimes it is not your fault, and you need to recognize that it is not your fault. Sometimes it's somebody else's fault, but sometimes it is not your fault. You understand? And you need to refuse to blame yourself for what has happened. You understand? So I say to people, one question ask people, the fact that man sinned, did it make God a failure? Huh? Did it make God a failure? Was it God's fault that man sinned? So there are certain things you have no control. There's things that even with your best efforts, it's beyond things. Some things are beyond your control. And when you get to that point of, I won't blame myself for what has happened, I tell people that rather than blame yourself, the question you need to ask, so what lessons do I learn from this particular situation? Rather than blaming yourself for your health challenges, you understand, what lessons do I learn? What is the message my health challenges are giving to me? So I can correct those messages. You understand? Maybe I need to exercise more. Maybe I need to be more disciplined. But I don't know what it is. But point number 2 here is refuse to blame yourself. Because blaming is coming to a conclusion about an event. You understand? Blaming is putting a label, almost a permanent label, because of a temporary situation. So I'm a failure is blaming yourself. You understand? But this business did not work out. So what lessons can we learn from this business is better. That's point number 2. Refuse to blame yourself and others for what has happened. I think I'm going to write an article about blaming, the blame game, why we blame people and all that. Point number 3 is release the hurt. You know, sometimes in disappointment, that internalization of disappointment will begin to feel bitter, painful. So blaming others, you understand, is point number 2. Point number 3 is release the hurt. You know, so you've invested the money and the money has gone. You understand? The money has gone, but guess what? The pain has not gone. Does it happen to anybody? You still remember 1 year after, you're still feeling the pain of that lost investment. You're still feeling the pain of the relationship not working. You're still feeling the pain of that disappointment. And as long as you feel the pain, you understand, you will not trust yourself or trust somebody else. And so you are held back by that particular situation. In point number 3, what you need to do is release the hurt. That hurt that you have, that you carry for the relationship that has failed, for the business that has failed, for the investment that did not work out. You need to release the hurt. Point number 4, so point number 1 again is saying that challenges or darkness are inevitable. Number 2, refuse to blame yourself. Number 3 is release the hurt. You understand? Release the hurt. It's a baggage that you carry. Somebody, I think I read, I'm trying to remember the quote, that is it getting angry is like drinking a poison and expecting somebody else to die. That's what those things, you're expecting somebody else to die, but you're the person drinking the poison. So point number 3 is release the hurt. Point number 4, recognize that the biggest battle, you understand, is the battle of beliefs. That's point number 4. I said here that the purpose of darkness, this is going to be short so that we can take some questions. The purpose of darkness is to blind us to 3 things: to God, to our future, and to our potential and possibilities. And when we face challenges, the first question we ask, God, where are you? Is God still there? The second question is that, is it still worth it? Number 3 is, am I still worthy? You understand? So there's the question of, God, where are you? Should I even continue this? Is it still worth it? And there's the question of, am I still worthy? So this is the biggest battle that you would ever face. The battle of believing that God is still on your side, the battle of believing that success is still possible, the battle of believing that you can still accomplish greatness. That's the biggest battle. And once you get to that point where you choose to believe otherwise, that success is no longer possible, that you cannot accomplish greatness, that God has abandoned you, there is not much you can do in life. In so to speak, you have written your own obituary. That's what you have done. Once you get to that point where you believe otherwise, your biggest challenge when you face challenges, you start a business and the business fails. The biggest challenge is to believe that you can still be financially successful. You understand? You're having a difficulty in your health. The biggest challenge is believing that this particular miracle can still happen. So that's the biggest challenge. And what darkness, challenges, difficulties do is to try and displace our faith. our faith in our capacity to succeed. Steve Jobs got to that point where he was fired from Apple. And he said, how can you be fired from a company that you started? Imagine that, being fired from a company that you started. For a lot of us would have given up. For a lot of us would have written ourselves out. But Steve Jobs went back and, you understand, bought into Pizza, bought into Next, and came back to Apple after like 12 years. And today they say the rest is history. And this is what will happen to a lot of us. When you invested in a business and you lost 5 million, or you lost 10 million, or you lost 100 million, or you lost maybe $1 million, there's a challenge for you to just conclude that it's not worth it to start your business again. Rather than believing that I'm going to break even, I'm going to learn what I need to learn in order to be successful, we begin to dismiss ourselves. And this is the biggest challenge that a lot of people face. So let me give you a typical example. So you're a lady is in a relationship and maybe the man cheated on her. Either way, male, female, it can happen both. And as a result of that, the person now begins to believe that all men cannot be trusted or women cannot be trusted. The person has gotten to that point where the person has made a wrong conclusion about other people because of one person. And I've seen that happen where people say men cannot be trusted, women cannot be trusted. Because of one person, you have written off others. And what has happened to a lot of us in the pursuit of success is because of one failure, they've written off the opportunity to succeed. So because you started a business and the business failed, you conclude that it's impossible for you to succeed in this economy. I don't know, am I communicating? Yes, sir. Point number 4 says that your biggest challenge is the battle of belief. That's your point number 4. Your biggest challenge is believing that success is possible. So in dealing with darkness, we need to get to that point where, in spite of the difficulties, in spite of the challenges, in spite of the problems, it's knowing that we can still be successful. You release your faith and it didn't work out the way you planned. Doesn't mean that you abandon your faith. You learn the lessons and you start all over. Let's go to point number 5. Okay, that it's also recognized that your biggest battles are not unique. What's point number 5? Point number 5 says that somebody somewhere, no matter the challenge that you're going through today, right now, somebody somewhere has gone through it successfully. Is it a financial challenge? There are people that declare for bankruptcy and bounce back. You understand what I mean? Is it a financial challenge? You understand? There are people that have declared. So recently last year I was speaking to, you understand, me and somebody who was speaking. He said, even if you're owing somebody money, you're not owing up to 9 billion. Are you owing up to 9 billion? There was somebody that it came out in the papers that he was owing 9 billion. You understand? And I said the man that is owing 9 billion has not killed himself. So why should you kill yourself because of how much? 10 million, 20 million, 50 million. So if you kill yourself for 50 million, the man that is owing 9 billion, what should you do? He should kill himself like 3 times, over and over and over and over and over. I said your own has not even come out in the paper. So why are you killing yourself? That your own debt has not come out. So just take it easy. That your biggest challenge, you understand, are not what? Are not unique. Because you see, when you feel that your challenges are unique, you start saying, you don't know what I'm going through. No matter what you are going through, people have gone through worse. No matter your loss, you understand? Some of us, we lose people at old age. There are people that did not see their father and their mother growing up, 2 of us. And did they kill themselves? You understand? Some of us, we lost our jobs at old age. There are people that have not even, you understand, from the very beginning. So point number 5 says, look at your challenges, look at your difficulties, and just like I said, they are not unique. And if they are not unique and somebody else has gone through these challenges, it means that I can go through the same challenges. But when you get to that point where you think your challenges are unique, you say, oh, nobody understands what I'm going through. So you begin to hold this pity party. You don't know what I'm going through. You don't know what I'm going through. They don't even understand what I'm going through. They don't understand what I'm going through. What are you going through that somebody else has not gone through before? What are you going through? So no matter the challenges, the question here is just recognize, the point number 5 says, recognize that your biggest battles are not unique. Some people have faced the same challenges, whether it's growing your business, whether it's dealing with a health issue. Some people have faced the same challenges and they came out successfully. What we are supposed to do is say to ourselves, how did they do it? So that we can learn the lessons from them and also now begin to overcome our own challenges. Point and number 6. So point number 5 says, recognize that your biggest battles are not unique. They are not unique. If you are facing a Goliath, well, David faced a Goliath and successfully navigated the Goliath of his life. And so we can learn from the life of David. If you're in a pit or you are sold into slavery, you have Joseph that navigated that successfully. If you're in famine, Abraham and Isaac did that. So we can give you examples of people who despite the things that you're going through, we can find men who have failed in their businesses and eventually they became successful much later. Point and number 6. Now, if you draw from point number 4, that darkness would ask you a question, is it worth it? That's what darkness does. It will ask you that question, is it worth it? Should I even still continue with this dream, this drive, this goal? Point number 6 says, remember why you started out in the first place. Now, sometimes I do counseling for people, when they are facing marital challenges, everybody say, I'm no longer interested in the rest. And the question I say, so what did you see in this person that made you say, yes, I do? What did you see in this person that made you call your family and your friends and gather and say, I do? That's number 6. Remember why you started that in the first place. What was the motivation? Why did you start the business? Why did you resign your job to say you want to start up your own consulting firm? What was motivating and driving you? Because when there are cash flow challenges, guess what happens is that we lose a sense of our why. We lose a sense of why we started that in the first place, why we decided to pursue this particular dream. And point number 6 says, remember why you started that. That business, remember why you started that. So even if you need to change your strategy, yes, even if you need to remove, you understand, maybe right now you need to go back to paid employment, yes, I understand that, but don't forget the reason why you are starting out, why you started out. This might not be the right time for that business, yes, but do not lose sight of that dream and that goal. Point and number 7 is the one point I like very much. And point number 7 says, refuse darkness to write the last chapter of your life. Refuse what? To do what? To write the last what? Chapter of your life. A lot of people are defined by their last failure. A lot of people are defined by their last failure. So their last failure is what defines them. So they fail, and once they fail, that is the end. And so in their pursuit of greatness, the last thing we know about them is that they failed. Nothing else after that. And so they started the business, it failed, and they packed it up. So that failure, it becomes the last chapter of your life. The question I want to ask you here is, how would your last chapter of your life be written? How would your life be written? You understand? Imagine if Genesis 1:2, God stopped at darkness. Guess what? That would be the last chapter of the creation story. True or false? Talk back to me. That would be the last chapter of the creation story. If God had stopped at Genesis 1:2 and says, it's enough, I'm no longer continuing, that would be the last chapter. And everything that happened from Genesis 1:30 to date, we would not have seen it. Refuse darkness. So look at Steve Jobs. Refuse your last failure. He was fired to write the last chapter. If Steve Jobs has stopped because he was fired, yes, the only thing we'll know is that he started Apple and that was the end of the story. But he went to Pixar, and Pixar did the first fully animated movie of all time called the Toy Story. So from the Toy Story today, we have animated movie, Madagascar, Frozen and all that. It was was Pizza that started that with the Toy Story. Then he went to Next, and Next went back to Apple. And today your iPod and iPad and all the i money that they collect, you understand, is as a result of somebody who came back, who refused the last chapter, went back to Apple, and during his lifetime, Apple crossed $1 trillion. Then he had cancer and he died. But that company that he restarted, in quote, today is the most capitalized company in the world. Refused darkness to write the last what? Chapter of your life. You will get to that point where things will not work out the way you plan. There will be disagreement. There will be difficulties. You have two options. Option number one is to abandon it and quit. Option number two is to re-strategize and says, I will not let darkness write the last chapter of my life. And that's what successful people do. They refuse failure, their last failure, to write the last chapter of their life. So this is about your legacy. Think about your legacy. How do you want to be remembered? The man who gave up, or the man who, in spite of the difficulties and the challenges, decided to pursue it? That is point number 7. Refuse darkness to write the last word, chapter of your life. And point number 8 says, release the brakes and begin again. So let's go. 8 points in dealing with darkness, dealing with challenges, dealing with difficulties, because we'll all face it in the pursuit of success. Point number 1 says, recognize that it is what? Inevitable. So no matter in the pursuit of success, there will be failures. You understand? It's inevitable. Point number 2 says, refuse to blame yourself and others for what has happened. Stop the blame game. Yes, what lessons can we learn? What could we have done differently? Number 3 says, release the hurt, the pain, the disappointment. Release it. Just release it. You understand? Because every time you hold it, it's like a weight in the pursuit of success and the rest. And think about it, it's like a when you look at footballers and swimmers, what do they use cloth like this to swim? It's very light. You understand? Even for athletes, it's very light. It's not very heavy. Because if you wear something heavy, it will slow you down. You understand? So in the same vein, hot, you understand? The hot that you are carrying is actually slowly slowing you down. And so you need to release it so that you can pursue success. Point number 4 says, recognize that your biggest battle is the battle of belief. You understand? The biggest battle. The battle of, is God still there? The battle of, is it still worth it? And the battle of, am I still worthy? So there's a God battle. There's a battle of pursuit, which is it worth it? There's a battle of self-evaluation. Am I still worthy? And I think here that when you allow belief, your failure, you internalize your failure. As a result of that, you begin to think that you are a failure. Failure is an event, Robert Schuller said, not a person. So you are not a failure because you failed. You're a failure because you believe that you're a failure. You are not a failure because you failed. That's an event. You're a failure because you believe that you're a failure. And so point number 5 says, do not internalize it. Point number 5 says, recognize that your biggest battles are not unique. Other people who have faced it and they're facing it. People have gone from debt and they become successful. People have gone from marital difficulties and their marriage is succeeded. Point number 6 now says, remember why you started that in the first place, which is your motivations and your why. Point number 7 says, refuse darkness to write the last chapter of your life. And point number 8 says, release the brakes and begin again. Now, in what failure does is an opportunity to begin afresh, but this time more intelligently. So in this case, maybe the reason why I failed is that I bit off too much that I can chew. Maybe I was trying to do everything at once. And so what lessons do I learn? Maybe the reason why I failed is because I did not apply the right strategy. Maybe the reason why I failed is because I didn't put the right effort, dedication, commitment. And so this is an opportunity for you to reevaluate and say to yourself, now, if I have to start this business all afresh, if I have to do this again, what would I do differently? That's what failure does. So inherent in failure is the seed of wisdom. If only you can sit down and evaluate and replan and say to yourself, so what would I do differently if I need to pursue this particular dream? So David wanted to kill Goliath, had the armor of Saul, but as he moved with the armor of Saul, he said, this is not working. So it is wisdom to realize something that method is not working, and it is wisdom to change the strategy. Goliath will be killed, but Goliath cannot be killed with the armor of Saul. In the same vein, your business, you can actually become a multi-millionaire if that's your goal. Your marriage can work, or whatever your goal is, but this particular strategy is not working, and it is wisdom to recognize the strategies that are not working, replace the strategies that are not working, and choose the strategies that will work in order for you to get to your goal. So begin again, but begin again more intelligently. And in point number 8, I will say to you, face your dreams and face your goals. If you look at the creation story, you understand from verse 3 of Genesis 1, God created one thing per day. Let there be light. That was the only thing God do. Face your goal. Break it down into phases. Now, creation requires a lot of things. I know, and this is the biggest problem for a lot of us. We want to accomplish all our goals, what? At once. No, face it. Break it down and say to yourself, in the light of the creation story, what is the most important thing? This is the concept of small wins. Because once light comes, you can look at it and say, wow, I'm making progress. That fuel of progress gives you the momentum to continue. So take your big goals and break it down. Break it down and say, okay, if I need to start this again, what is the most important thing for me to do? So the biggest problem was darkness. You understand? Verse 2, the first thing that God said was, let there be what? Light. Because light is the antidote to darkness. So if your biggest problem is strategy, if your biggest problem is marketing, if your biggest problem is effort or discipline or procrastination, then start with that and say to yourself, how do I get the right strategy? We understand. Because if your problem is strategy and you're putting forth effort, then you're not putting forth the right thing. The labor of the foolish, we're told, wearies every one of them because they do not know how to go about the city. So I said to people here that ultimately people fail for just 2 reasons. 1, labor. 2, strategy. The how. The labor, they don't work hard, you understand, or a context of strategy. So if you are hard working and you're not seeing the result, then the problem will not be in the part of labor, it will be in the part of what? Strategy. And so if the problem is strategy, where should you start from? Strategy. If the problem is strategy, you don't start from labor. Am I speaking to somebody? If the problem is strategy, you don't start with what? You don't start with labor, you start with what? Strategy. So if you go online, maybe you go to do an investment and the rest, and the investment fails, the problem is not for you to go and look for extra money again, to go back again to pumping. You need to sit down and say, I need to learn investment what? Strategy. How to invest, when to invest. I need to spend time. You understand? That is you finding light. I need to spend time. I need to understand this business. The reason why I failed is that I just money. I decided to open an office. I didn't even understand how they make money. I didn't understand how to get customers. I think my biggest problem is getting customers. So in getting customers, that has to do with marketing and sales. So I need to spend time. I need to understand marketing and sales because that is where my biggest challenge is. So in this point, I'm saying to you, find that bucket. So in starting intelligently, find where the problems are. So my biggest problem is I am a lazy bone. I understand what to do, but I'm lazy. Then you need to deal with laziness. Am I speaking to somebody? You need to deal with it. So release the brakes and begin again. Can you project those two things, the things that I said to you? You understand? So yesterday, as I was meditating over this, and I'm going to put this out on my Twitter handle today. This is the first one. This is small. If we go to the first one, let's say, go to the yellow one. Yes. It says, what does it say? It says, teach what? A highly educated person that it is not a disgrace to fail. And that he must analyze every failure to find its cause. That's what I've been trying to explain since. What lessons can we learn from this? He must what? Learn how to fail what? Intelligently. For failing is one of the greatest arts in the world. He's an innovator and inventor. It's not a crime to fail. But please, learn to fail what? Intelligently and not what? Stupidly. So what's the cause? Why did I fail? What can I do differently? Thank you. Second quote. Second quote. I hope I can say this. Second one. That other one is small. Okay, I think, let me see. Say, it is not the critic who counts, nor the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. This is Theodore Roosevelt. You understand? The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and what? And sweat. Whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood. Who strives valiantly? Who else? Who comes short again and again? Who spends himself in a worthy cause? Who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring what? Greatly. So that his place shall never be with those what? Cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. Same thing they're saying. If you fail, at least know that you were trying to do something great. Abraham Lincoln said that the fact that we might fail should not stop us from pursuing a cause that we believe to be true. So that's the question. That's point number 8, and as I summarize it. So yesterday, as I was meditating over this was the words that dropped in my spirit. Never lose the light within you because of the darkness around you. Where did light come from? Where did light come from? From outside or from within? From within him. But where was darkness? Around you. So there'll be darkness around you. There'll be failures around you. There'll be difficulties around you. But never lose the light within you because of the darkness around you. Don't change who you are to conform to the negativity of your world. Don't surrender your beliefs to the naysayers around you. Why give them the satisfaction to laugh last? And that's my final admonition. You understand? Don't change who you are to confirm. You understand? You believe in creation, you failed, and there's a tendency, people are laughing, your world is negative, and you surrender your beliefs to the naysayers. You've given them the satisfaction to what? To laugh last. And the challenge for you this morning is refuse them to laugh last. That's the challenge for you this morning. You will fail. There will be difficulties. But hey, what lessons can I learn from this failure? And how can I use this failure, you understand, to become the seed of success? How can I use this failure to start afresh and start intelligently? This is what this message, encouragement, admonition is. Did you learn something this morning? Yes, sir. Okay, so what I will say to you is go back to the other episodes and listen to them. I think in this episode, you have enough to help you succeed, which is creating your word. And even when in the pursuit of success, you make mistakes, you understand, to help you deal with those mistakes. Recognize that, well, I made a mistake. Maxwell, why did I start this? I started this business because I wanted to provide for my family. I started this business because I wanted time to do some other things with my life. So would I crucify myself because I failed? No. Would I crucify myself because the investment went south? No. What lessons can I learn? So what do I do differently? You understand? So maybe this time, instead of going full hog, let me take it one step at a time, one step at a time. There must be something. But that dream of Goliath being killed cannot be. I can't give it up. So I want to say thank you for everybody who participated in this 5 days seminar. If you made here 1 week, if today is your first day, if you did 2 weeks, go back and listen to the episodes of the other series. And as you apply the principles, you understand. I believe that 2022 will be your best year ever. When I mean ever, compared to the other years, because the path of the righteous shines brighter and brighter. So your 2023 should be better than what? Your 2022. But your 2022 should be better than your what? Your 2021. So it's on that note I want to say thank you. God bless you. Do have a great time.